Hello. So today I've got a couple of little things to show you that I picked up at a charity shop a day or so ago. I thought I'd just go through a few ideas of what you could use these books and book pages for. So the first thing that I picked up, I was super chuffed with this, is this little box. You can see it was £2. And inside are a lot of Winsor & Newton watercolour paints. Now, I've already shown these to my dad. He watercolours. Yeah, some of them look like they are brand new. They're pretty soft. There's a couple that look well used. But these for £2 were a pretty good bargain. And I'm sure my dad could get some use out of some of those. So he's already taken the paints. I just thought this would make a fantastic either something for storing charms or eyelets or something like that. Some of these books ranged. These top ones, I think this one was £1.50 and these ones were £1, and then the bottom one cost me £2.50, and I'll show you why that was such a good buy. So this one, it's perfect front and back cover. Obviously I would cut the spine off and reuse that. I think there's about 5 pages with a pattern on a print, which are really cool. If you like colour, there's lots of bugs. If you like colour, there are a lot of colour images, but again, they're shiny, so they're not something I generally use. I have to be really careful with this because it's actually a story, and there's some rather rude words in this book, believe it or not. Now, again, cover, fantastic for £1. The front and back, beautiful papers. This one I've had several times, and what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how I cut these apart. Now, this I think would make a fantastic little piece of ephemera. And this one, again, another fantastic green cover. These are matte pages. Beautiful pictures, and again, something similar to this. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with the Culpeper book. This book was £2.50, so it was more expensive than the others, but to me this is well worth it. One, the cover is fabulous. I could cover this up with something and this would make an absolutely fantastic journal cover. And every single page in here has a photograph of a dog, or a photograph with people and a dog, where you can use so much either for journal pages or ephemera. It's really worth paying £2.50 for that particular book. Now, I've already taken these semi apart. These two books, the Culpeper Colour Herbal and the Wildflower Finders Calendar, are both very similar in their layouts, as you can see. We've got the information and then the image, and this one is very similar as well. So image and information. So what I want to do is do something, because lots of books on florals and herbs are set out this way. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you how I take this kind of book apart. Now you can see I've already started doing this. So let's go to here. What I would do is I open up the book to a centre of a signature where you can see the stitching. I use a really sharp pair of little scissors. Now you might need to kind of lift up your spine to be able to get your scissors under there, but if you are careful you can do this without damaging the book pages, and just slide your scissors under and cut out that stitching. And this does kind of two things. It allows you to pull out the majority of the signature in one go, and these pages, which will come apart, can then be used in junk journals. So you might be making a smaller book than this, so you might have to play around with them, but those pages are now come out whole. And what you're left with is, if you go through the whole book, you'll be left with just a few pages that are actually glued. And those pages, I would run my craft knife down here and have 2 separate pages. And I would do that with all of this kind of type of book. Now, I'd already done that. I want to say hello because it's the next day for me. I have done some prep on the books and I wanted to just show you roughly what I've done, and then I want to get into mass making some ephemera, and I'm going to do 2 types of things, maybe more, we'll see how it goes, but I wanted to use up some book pages and show you what I would do. So for this particular book, what I did was just pull out, after I'd taken it apart, just pull out some of the better images. So these can be used in various things. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with them all as yet, but I did that. And also I pulled out, just cut out some of the words, or melancholy expectation. Then we have if they were not wild. And this one is, I absolutely loved this. I just had a quick flick through. This says a world of jiggery pokery, which I love. Jiggery pokery is one of my favourite sayings. This one is almost singing. And there's another few bits and pieces that I pulled out and cut the words from. They're not particularly large words. I mostly want to work with these 2 books that had very similar pages in. So I'll show you what I did. All of the pages were a bit like this. So I went through and cut some like this into little sections with the image and the blurb about the flower. And some are they're from both of the books. I pulled out from both of the books. I have just cut out the images, which I'm going to make tags with these. Some of them are small, so they might go in here. But I just wanted to give you a quick idea with regards to these bits here. If you can remember, we made our faux first day covers. Not all of these would work, but for example, this one, which was the florals, and this was also made with book pages. In a first day cover, you might have some blurb about whatever the stamps relate to. So if you backed this and popped that into your first day cover, that would make it even more kind of realistic, if you like. So that was a little idea. But we're going to turn all of these, well, probably not all of them today, but these are going to become little floating pockets, and these are going to become tags. And this is kind of an idea for mass make if you wanted to do lots of things the same. Grab my scoreboard and line these up. I'm going to line these up and just put a score line and then fold. And this is how I'm going to start all of my pockets. So you can just decide where to score, fold that, and you can do lots and lots in one go. So we have lots of these pockets folded and they're ready to go. I'll put those aside. And now I'm going to bring in my tags. Because I'm going to mount these, I want to make sure I use the same corner on these as I do on what I'm going to mount. Now, some of these are quite small, so I'm going to go for the smaller tags at the moment. Let's do a couple of each actually. So we'll do smaller ones, and then I'll do maybe a couple of larger ones. I'm going to put those aside for now. So these smaller tags, I'm going to use my small edge, and I'm just going to cut all of these with that And these ones, I'm going to use the next size up. So I'm going to use this one. So those are all cut. I need to keep this out because I'll need those again in a bit. So now I've got some tags and I've got some of my pockets. So I've now got some tags and I've now got some pockets. Is my stamping platform. Now, because this is a mass make, I'm going to be doing lots of things, so I will speed up the repetition, but I am intending on doing these today all in one go if I can. I'm going to use a few different stamps for this. Just put this one down to start with. I've got two sets of stamps here. I've got the tiny toadstools and field notes, both of which go with our floral theme, but to be honest, any stamps will work for this, and I love this kind of distress look, so you can use any kind of distress stamp you might have. Now this is when I will need to play around with my magnets a little bit. I'm going to use the Fig 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stamp, and I think I'm going to put that there, and then I'm going to use this little round one, and I'm going to put that there. Push that down. Grab my black ink. Okay, so I'm just going to ink this. Push that down, and it might take more than one. Nope, that's fine. Okay, so that is one stamped. So let's have a look at the second one. I'm going to have the kind of distress stamp there. I'm going to go for the Fig 1, 2, 3 again up there, and this time I'm going to use this little one here. So that's the last one. They're all done. And now I'm going to move on to the tag, so I can move my board round the right way again. Okay, so here are the tags that I've cut, all ready to go. And I'm going to stamp these in the same way that I did the pockets, with a similar kind of feel and stamp to them. So I'm going to use the same mix of stamps probably. Okay, so we've got that, and I'm going to just go ahead and stamp all of these. I should just point out that I've used Archival ink, and the reason I've used Archival ink is because some of this is a shiny paper and the distress inks will smudge a little bit more. This dries much quicker. Now we have our little pile of pockets and our little pile of tags. Is kind of prep these really. So what I'm doing is I'm taking my brush, and I've got walnut stain distress ink just here, and I'm just going to go around the edges of all of these just to give them a little bit more of a grungy look. I don't want to go too far with it. I just want to give them a little bit more colour. Now, if you wanted to, there's a couple of things you could do. You could do the whole piece, which is what I've done here. I've gone over the whole area with my ink, but on these I think I'm just going to do the edges. And once you've done that, if you wanted it to have a more defined edge, you could kind of go around with your blending tool to do that around the edge as well, if you wanted to. Okay, so I'm going to ink all of my pockets. Right, so that's all my inking done. I should have actually said that the idea for these kind of pockets where they're folded over, even, you know, this kind of style comes from Cori. So thank you, Cori, for, as always, amazing ideas. And also thanks to Cori, she sent me this amazing Tim Holtz distress paper. Is it distress paper? What's it called? I left it on the back. Craft stock paper. I had some black, but Cori sent me this amazing colour pack, which I love. So I'm going to do a mix of black and the colour, but you can also use this idea with plain paper, and I'll show you my samples in a bit. So the first thing I'm going to do is let's start with the pockets. So I'm going to grab one of my pockets and pick a colour to go with that, and it just happens that I think that one at the top is going to be perfect. Let's go through here. We've got a darker green here. That's quite nice. Actually, I think I might go with this one. I absolutely love it. Okay, so I'm going to take my piece of card and decide which way round I'm going to use it. I think I'm going to use it this way, and then I get more. This little panel here, the inside, is where I'm going to glue. I'm not going to use a lot of glue because we don't need to. So I'm just going to go around the edge of that square panel. Do a little bit on the inside, not too much, just a little bit. And I'm going to take my card, line that up, take my bone folder and just burnish that down. I'm going to take my trimmer. I'm going to use a trimmer because it is a bit quicker, even though it's a little bit more tricky to line up. Cut that. Cut that. And then we've got those pieces. And we have that. I'm going to do this to all of my pockets. So I've got my little pile of scraps here, and all of my pockets are now kind of prepared, ready for sewing. So let's do the tags. Now I'm going to do something very similar with the tags. The first thing I'm going to do is see if any of these pieces will fit. And you can see that's pretty perfect, isn't it? That one works on there beautifully. So I'm going to use that. I don't think I've got any other really small ones. Okay. See if that one would most definitely go on to blue. So I'm going to use that. So because I've got these pieces that actually work, none of these others will, I don't think. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue these two down. Obviously, if you're not sewing, you probably want to be more accurate with your glue. I'm just going to try and leave the same amount of space at the side and the bottom, like that. And I'm going to do the same with this. Just try and center it as best I can. Okay, so I've got those two. Going to grab a piece of the black and do a couple of these bigger tags. Now, because I'm going to mount onto the same piece of paper, what I'm going to do this time is I'm actually going to cut before I lay the next piece down. And I'm just going to estimate my border to make sure I can get it roughly the same both sides. That's not far off. And I'm just going to do the same on the top. That's reasonable. Quite happy with that. And now, because I've got that piece cut, now I can mount the next one. Guesstimate where to put that, and I'm hoping one of these small ones will go there, maybe. Let's cut this one. This one I think would look nice on there, and maybe that one too. So I'm going to mount these this way. And we've got two left to mount. And that's quite a big scrap, so I'm going to put that back in here, my pack. Let's go something nice and dark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount this one onto this dark green, and then I'm going to go back to that kind of olive green to mount the other one. So I end up with a good amount of this darker one left. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim all of these now, and I'll be back. So that's all my tags cut, and because we've used the same edge to trim both the image and the tag, they kind of work perfectly. I hope you can see. So the next step for me is to sew my tags. Now I'm going to use a black thread throughout. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these to my sewing machine, and I'm going to do a straight stitch down here. I'm then going to fold them and do a straight stitch all the way around my pockets. On my tags, I'm going to do a small zigzag stitch all of the way round the image. So I'm going to do that, and I will be back. Whew, that was a lot of sewing. I stitched all the pockets first, so they look like this, and I love them. Very, very useful. I'm leaving all my threads because at the moment I don't know what kind of journal these will go in. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them. Once I'd stitched those, I started on the tags, and I forgot to change that one to zigzag. So that's a straight stitch one. These two are a combination of both. And then these are all zigzag. I'm not going to finish all of these off. I've got my number strips and text strips. So I've got these black numbers, which I think work perfectly with this kind of black background. I'm not going to do anything complicated, just ink the back, ink the edge. I think my walnut stain does need a little bit of ink refill on there. I'm just going to glue that, pop that into place. And again, I still might do more to this when I decide to put it in a journal. I'm not going to finish it now. I'm not going to put a top on. I'm not going to put a tab on because who knows what we're going to do with it. But that is a great way to mass make some tags. So let's do another one. Now this is obviously this has got the green background. None of these have been inked either. I might decide to distress them. I might decide to put them onto another backing. These are just the kind of start of tags for a bit of a mass make, using up some of those book pages. So it's just a great way to kind of get started. Let's do one of the pockets. So just inked that, a little bit of glue on the back. Add that, and let's do one of these. Okay, I think for this one I'm going to do it a little bit differently. I'm going to put this little label over on the pocket itself. Let's add that. Love that. Right, so I'm going to call that a day because we've been going for a while. This has taken me approximately an hour and a half, I think, approximately, to make these. I hope you like them. I hope you will utilise your book pages. Very, very simple mass make. Lots and lots of pockets and tags. Okay, I've got another two over here that I missed. So we've got quite a lot here. I'm just going to show you a couple that I'd already done. So I did these two, but I did these with a cream cotton. These were the test ones before I started. And that's a couple of the pockets I did with the cream. But rather than use the cardstock, these ones I actually made with just coffee dyed paper, and they turned out brilliantly as well. I like those, and these ones I've actually used labels on. So that just gives you an idea. I've barely touched the pages in that book, and I already have all of this ephemera ready to go to decorate further for my journals. So thank you for joining me. I will see you all again really soon. Take care. Bye.